Zhang Yi finished reading this decoded section of the sage's notes, deeply shaken within. According to the analysis of the sage, the time when the three-eyed clan produced a large number of special warriors, that is, extraordinary beings, perfectly coincided with the arrival of the end times. Before that, while powerful individuals existed among them, they were nowhere near as terrifying as they were now. Even the Divine Spirit Temple's ability to collect spirit of sacrifice only activated after the apocalypse. The power to harvest souls. The Great Cataclysm. And I've seen that name again, Kabago. Zhang Yi pressed his hand to his forehead, his mind reeling in chaos. The sheer volume of information absorbed in such a short time left him struggling to make sense of it all. Moreover, he had to factor in the limitations of the sage's reasoning. These were merely his personal interpretations, not necessarily historical truths. Yang Xinxin addressed Zhang Yi, but now, based on the intelligence we have, we can reasonably conclude two things. She slowly extended a finger, speaking with solemn focus. First, the Divine Spirit Temple in Nash Kingdom and the Purple Pyramid beneath the Qinling Mountains are both similar energy collection devices. The birth of the source of the gods or the spirit of sacrifice is their creation. But what exactly are they collecting? Yang Xinxin lifted her head, as if trying to pierce through the thick villa roof to gaze at the sky. The sage said that for thousands of years, the Divine Spirit Temple remained inactive. That is, until the apocalypse descended 2.5 years ago. At that time, the greatest event in the outside world, the surface world where we live, was the arrival of the Global Freeze. Massive human casualties. Yang Xinxin looked at Zhang Yi. Brother, I have a hunch forming in my mind. Do you want to hear it? Zhang Yi rubbed his temples hard. Go ahead. Yang Xinxin continued, humans inherently possess a unique energy field. Though its origin remains unclear, its existence is undeniable. The mass extinction brought by the apocalypse claimed 95% of humanity on the planet, along with countless other life forms. This energy was released, lingering within the planet. The surviving humans absorbed this energy, resulting in the emergence of a massive number of mutants. This aligns quite well with the ascension methods of the mutants. She extended her palm, mimicking a grasping motion. By absorbing the power of these supernatural energy-based life forms. It's practically like hunting. Therefore, hunting can yield their energy. The mass deaths caused naturally follow the same principle. The underground world's population, however, foresaw this moment long in ancient times. Thus, they created devices to collect this unique energy field. Yang Xinxin's analysis made perfect sense. Zhang Yi remained silent, only nodding steadily. The overall reasoning aligned closely with his own thoughts, but hearing it articulated by someone else made the logic seem far clearer. Zhang Yi stroked his chin. I've heard a theory that life on this planet has endured 5 mass extinctions. Perhaps those subterranean tribes represent 5 distinct generations of humankind? Zhang Yi found it difficult to describe them as mere life forms. After all, their current level of intelligence seemed no less advanced than modern humans, in many respects, even surpassing it. Yang Xinxin nodded. That possibility certainly exists. To evade this world's calamities, they abandoned the surface and descended into deeper layers. If this planet were a house, they left the walls behind and entered the interior. Because they knew another mass extinction would inevitably come. Zhang Yi lowered his head in deep thought. But suddenly, an inexplicable chill enveloped his entire body, causing a cold sweat to break out on his back. If we follow this logic, doesn't that mean? Throughout the endless ages of the past, not a single intelligent species that once ruled a planet succeeded in overcoming the unknown cataclysms of the apocalypse? He looked down at Yang Xinxin. We too will face such a fate someday. But he swallowed hard. We clearly endured the extreme cold of the Ice Age and preserved the spark of life. Yang Xinxin spoke calmly, that means the true crisis is still far from arriving. These words struck Zhang Yi right in the heart. Truthfully, he already knew the answer deep down, but he'd been reluctant to face it. Even formidable entities like the Hades Gatekeeper, the White Dragon, and the Nash King had no choice but to retreat underground to survive. What kind of terrifying, unknown catastrophe could possibly be so dreadful? If that's the case, we must prepare early. We must grow stronger. And, like them, build a deep underground refuge. This was the first thought that crossed Zhang Yi's mind. Perhaps back then, Fremons didn't attempt to drill through the earth to find minerals. They were preparing for a future catastrophe. Yang Xinxin said softly, "Our data is insufficient. All we can do is speculate based on what we have. And constructing an underground city isn't simple. We'd need to find an optimal location, ensure ample subterranean resources, and possess the technological means to predict seismic patterns for centuries ahead. Carving out a sufficiently vast underground city and fortifying it to impregnability, that alone might require the combined strength of all humanity to achieve." Zhang Yi recalled the 2 underground realms he had visited. He had only explored the outer regions of the White Dragon clan's domain, never venturing deep inside. But Nash Kingdom, its immense scale was equivalent to dozens of human cities combined. Even with humanity's current advanced technology, it would take over a century and the combined strength of all mankind to carve out such a space. The more Zhang Yi pondered it, the more daunting the task seemed. His greatest headache was that he had no clue what this impending ultimate destruction might be. Frozen wastelands, volcanic eruptions, or tsunamis. These natural disasters weren't the most terrifying prospect for him right now. That thing had to be far more terrifying than anything else. After much deliberation, his gaze drifted toward the ceiling. "Xinxin, tell me, is there any possibility we could emigrate into the stars?" He spread his hands. "Consider places like the Moon or Mars. Humans have long had plans for space colonization, haven't they?" After thoughtful consideration, Yang Xinxin replied to Zhang Yi with utmost seriousness, "Before the apocalypse, humanity's space technology was barely capable of such a feat because it's not a short trip, it's about long-term settlement. But now, there might be a possibility. That possibility lay with the mutants. Human mutation had granted individuals extraordinary intellect and strength, turning many impossibilities into realities." Out of cautious habit, Zhang Yi had already begun planning for the future. Escape. He had to escape. If a catastrophe truly existed in this world, one terrifying enough to annihilate an entire epoch of humanity, he wouldn't foolishly stay behind to fight it together. Escaping to safety with himself and those close to him was his style. Zhang Yi rubbed his temples. "We must prepare early. But whether building an underground city or a space base, it's an incredibly complicated undertaking. Achieving either within a short time frame with our limited resources is nearly impossible. It's truly a headache." Yang Xinxin analyzed, "Building a dungeon is practically impossible for us alone. But a lunar or Martian base is theoretically feasible. The key is having enough time to establish a complete ecological chain there. Otherwise, even if we manage to land, long-term survival would be difficult. And we must consider future generations. This isn't a short trip, it's far more complicated than that." Suddenly, Yang Xinxin seemed to recall something. She looked up at Zhang Yi and said earnestly, "But perhaps someone could assist us." Zhang Yi turned to her. "Who?" Yang Xinxin replied calmly, "Elon Freeman." Zhang Yi asked curiously, "Who is this person?" "The world's richest man 30 years ago, known as the Iron Man. As early as 3 decades ago, he was planning to colonize Mars and achieved remarkable accomplishments in aerospace. Although in recent years, public discourse about him has dwindled. Yet many believe he has successfully established human survival bases on Mars and emigrated there with his family." Zhang Yi rubbed his chin. 30 years ago? So that guy knew this day would come? Yang Xinxin said, "The wealthiest and most powerful people in the world were preparing for future apocalyptic risks during that era. Take the founder of Colombia's largest social media platform, for instance. He purchased an island in the ocean to build an end-of-the-world base." Zhang Yi sighed deeply. "Unfortunately, I have no connection to Elon Freeman. He's from Colombia. Even if I asked for his help, Why would he assist me? Yang Xinshin said, brother, your strength is your greatest asset. Zhang Yi took a deep breath. What Elon Freeman achieved, we can achieve too. I dislike pinning my hopes on others, it makes me feel insecure. So we must learn to rely on ourselves. He gently pinched Yang Xinshin's soft cheek. The 20-year-old girl's skin was tender and smooth, offering an exquisite feel. Continue deciphering the underground documents. See if you find more clues. I'll go find Kier and the others to discuss other matters. Zhang Yi left the control room and sought out Zhou Kier and Lu Karen. He held nothing back, sharing his and Yang Xinshin's theories directly with the two women. Upon hearing the news, shock clearly flashed across both their faces. The arrival of an ice age alone is enough to trigger a mass extinction. Could something even more terrifying be on the horizon? Zhang Yi folded his arms. No one knows what the future holds. That's why we must prepare for the worst. Zhang Yi looked at them. Your expertise far surpasses mine in these fields. I believe space colonization is a viable future option. The mechanical aspects will require your expertise, Karen. As for building the ecosystem, that task falls to you, Kier. Lu Karen instantly lit up with excitement. Clenching her fist, she exclaimed, yes. Flying into space, building a massive spaceship. Brother, this is my lifelong dream. Zhang Yi smiled. Whatever you need, just tell me. Whether it's materials or personnel, I'll find a way to make it happen. If Tianhai City isn't enough, I'll go to Zhuzheng. He knew how incredibly difficult aerospace development truly was. If Lu Karen weren't an extraordinary individual, he wouldn't have dared make such a request. Lu Karen thought for a moment, then nodded solemnly. Don't worry, brother. Huashu Kingdom now possesses highly advanced aerospace technology. Flying into space, landing on Mars or the Moon, it's not difficult. But I don't want to do something so simple. We could consider building a large airship for space travel. How amazing would that be? Lu Karen grew more excited the more she thought about it, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Zhang Yi rubbed her forehead. Safety first, remember, safety first. If something goes wrong in space, 100 lives wouldn't be enough to make up for it. Human strength is insignificant before nature, and in the vastness of the cosmos, humanity's epsilon is but a speck of dust. Lu Karen scratched her head sheepishly. Got it, big brother. Unlike the excited Lu Karen, Zhou Kier had long since propped her chin in her hand, deep in thought about how to build an ecosystem. We need to build a perfect ecological cycle system. An ecosystem? It has to be more comprehensive than that. All historical ecosystem sphere projects failed, but we have Zhang Yi's spatial abilities to transport massive supplies. Other mutant abilities can also solve many tricky problems. With me here, medical issues won't be a concern either. This plan has potential. No, I need to map it out meticulously. It's truly challenging. Seeing their earnest expressions, Zhang Yi smiled with satisfaction. He said, give it your all. Success is the goal, but don't put too much pressure on yourselves. No one knows what this world will become. I'm just preparing for the future. Besides, the fact that civilizations like Nash Kingdom and other underground realms preserve sparks of life proves that apocalyptic disasters don't completely erase civilization. Perhaps there are other ways to avoid it. Overthinking only brings trouble. The urgent task remains strengthening myself and my companions as quickly as possible. And uncovering the truth of history. Zhou Kier lifted her head, her gaze fixed earnestly on Zhang Yi as she spoke. Zhang Yi, if the future truly holds such uncertain dangers, I have a suggestion. Oh? What is it? Zhang Yi asked curiously. Zhou Kier continued, we currently exist outside the major factions. You don't trust outsiders, not even the major bases you're familiar with or the people in Blizzard City. That's why you've been minimizing contact with them. You don't get involved in Blizzard City's affairs. Even the 3 major bases, you let them manage themselves. But now the situation has changed. Our position isn't entirely secure. So, shouldn't we consider using others' strength? Zhang Yi blinked, falling into silence. Borrow their power, huh? Zhou Qi wasn't talking about something so simple, she meant forming alliances with others. That would mean more interactions. I've already started working with the Deng family. I guess that counts as progress. Zhang Yi said with a smile. Zhou Qi shook her head and told Zhang Yi, you must possess your own strength. She spread her right hand open, analyzing it carefully, while Zhang Yi and Lu Karen listened intently. For instance, if we truly want to carry out an extraterrestrial colonization project, we'll need massive human and material resources. You always rely on your own abilities because you struggle to trust others. But when real danger strikes, strength lies in numbers. That's why I think we should allocate our surplus resources to cultivate trustworthy allies. Zhang Yi inquired, are you referring to the 3 major bases? Zhou Qi was correct. The resources Zhang Yi currently controlled were entirely in excess. Over 20% of the Yuan Stone veins, if that energy were given to Blizzard City, it would be enough to sustain over 1 million people for decades. How many people did Zhang Yi and his group even have? Later, because there were too many Yuan Stone veins to use up, they even started artificially breeding Earth centipedes to cultivate mutant. Yet even so, this stuff was only used by a handful of people at home. That's why Zhang Yi had considered cultivating another batch of trusted loyalists. The first step would definitely be selecting individuals from the 3 major bases, people who had withstood years of testing, showed potential for cultivation, and were unlikely to betray them. Zhou Qi countered, we could start by cultivating people close to us. Once the training system matures, we can also recruit outstanding talent from outside. Zhang Yi waved his hand dismissively. We'll address that later. If Tianhai City floods with all sorts of unsavory characters, chaos is guaranteed. How many of those wolves outside are truly tameable? Still, your point holds merit. We could indeed allocate a small portion of resources to cultivate Tianhai City's exceptional individuals. At this point, he even shook his head with a bitter smile. They're pitifully weak right now. Zhang Yi had deliberately weakened Tianhai City's 3 major bases to prevent them from ever rebelling. But now the main threat came from outside, so he could allow them to grow stronger. Pitifully, even the leaders of these 3 bases now possess only the capabilities of ordinary investigation squad members. Who would have believed it? After much deliberation, Zhang Yi decided to entrust this matter to Yang Xinqin. Her mind was the most meticulous, and her intellect the sharpest. As for Zhou Qi, though equally intelligent, her management skills still fell short of Yang Xinqin's. Give them direct access to the Earth centipede's origin to boost the leader's power. Then have them recommend their most reliable mutant for batch training. Character comes first, ability second. I won't tolerate any traitors among my people. Zhou Qi asked Zhang Yi, since this is your team, should we give it a name? Zhang Yi briefly pondered before casually settling on the name for this future elite force of Huashu Kingdom. Volt Shadow. It signified lurking within the shadows, maintaining a low profile. He didn't expect this unit to possess formidable combat prowess. He merely needed them to assist with base construction and serve as guards in the future. Yet the future trajectory of this unit would surpass even his wildest expectations. It all stemmed from Zhang Yi's staggering wealth, so immense he himself couldn't fathom the full extent of his resources. At the very least, the resources he personally controlled now rivaled those of half a major region. The days that followed remained calm and uneventful. Unless something truly monumental occurred, Epsilon, now positioned at the pinnacle of the world's hierarchy, would rarely intervene. That was, until one morning when Zhang Yi received news from Blizzard City. He hadn't requested this service from Blizzard City, but Zhu Zheng, wishing to demonstrate his trust in Zhang Yi, had someone send him a daily electronic edition of the latest global news. The news projected onto the 100-inch television on the wall. One report caught Zhang Yi's attention. Months earlier, he had led an expedition to the southwest region. At that time, the Star Island Mist Valley had already begun to mutate, its pervasive fog spreading hundreds of kilometers. This unusual phenomenon had once caused Zhang Yi considerable anxiety. Later, upon entering Nash Kingdom, he could essentially confirm that beneath Star Island, a similarly powerful civilization undoubtedly existed. At that time, several major surrounding factions dispatched personnel to investigate. Among them was the East Sea region. Zhang Yi believed that after this expedition, if Vermilion Bird, Jianghan survived, she would almost certainly become the East Sea region's second Epsilon-level mutant. Yet events unfolded contrary to his expectations. Intelligence confirmed the East Sea region's second Epsilon had indeed emerged. But that individual was not Vermilion Bird. It was Azure Dragon. Su Xiaolong, the Azure Dragon who had forcibly unleashed his hidden potential, achieving a temporary breakthrough to the Epsilon realm, had only 5 years left to live. Intelligence revealed that upon learning his days were numbered, he resolutely joined this expedition to Star Island. Ultimately, he obtained a portion of the Source of God and broke through to the Epsilon realm. Not only did he heal his latent injuries, but his power surged dramatically. Truly unexpected. Zhang Yi murmured in astonishment. Yet such events, while unexpected, were not unreasonable. Who among those surviving the apocalypse wasn't a genius? Who hadn't overcome countless perils to endure? The weak, those without backing, had long perished. This fellow truly commands respect. To reach this point through sheer ability alone, perhaps his future achievements won't fall short of Black Tortoise. Zhang Yi drew a deep breath and mused, this means the East Sea region will soon have 3 Epsilon practitioners. Quite remarkable. In comparison, the Jiangnan region was looking rather bleak. But those matters were none of Zhang Yi's concern. Zhang Yi walked to the window, gazing out at the distant ocean. Though unseen from here, his heart had long since flown to that island shrouded in thick mist, out in the open sea. Suddenly, a hideous face flashed into his mind. The Sky Dragon King's deathbed roar, like a curse, echoed in his mind. Zhang Yi. I hate you. Ha ha ha. Did you think killing me would end everything? No. It won't. Sooner or later, you'll meet the same fate as me. It's your destiny. You're marked. You can't escape. They will catch you, and you'll die a far more miserable death than I did. Zhang Yi's heart clenched sharply, his brow furrowing deeply. Damned fool. Even in death, he still curses me. Serves him right to end up as cat food. At night. The night was pitch black, so dark you couldn't see your hand in front of your face. The entire world was shrouded in darkness. A cold, clamorous sound of dripping water reached his ears. Zhang Yi walked through the darkness and saw torrential rain pouring down from the sky. Crack! A white bolt of lightning split the sky, illuminating the darkness. Below, the sea churned violently, black waves crashing skyward, towering dozens of meters high, as if poised to completely submerge Tianhai City where Zhang Yi stood. He instinctively touched his arm. The icy rain fell, making his arm shiver with cold. Why is it so cold? I'm wearing my combat suit, aren't I? Zhang Yi wondered, utterly baffled. Boom! He stared blankly ahead, a chill running down his spine that nearly made his hair stand on end. For in the gloom ahead, perched upon a massive cliff, crouched a pitch-black shadow. It was clad in black armor, sporting a shadowed figure and a thick, long tail. A pair of blood-red eyes stared fixedly at him across the vast distance. The Hades Gatekeeper. Zhang Yi couldn't help but shout out his title. The instant the words left his mouth, the colossal figure moved. In the blink of an eye, it was before him, its face pressed against his. Ah! Zhang Yi jolted awake on his bed. Surrounded by familiar sights, he realized he'd been dreaming. But glancing out the window, the world remained shrouded in gray. Late at night, the snow-covered landscape wore a pale color. It wasn't the endless darkness of his dream, which let him breathe a little easier. Zhang Yi, what's wrong? Did you have a nightmare? Zhou Qir's slightly sleepy voice came from beside him. She rubbed her bleary eyes, one hand resting on Zhang Yi's shoulder. The the silk quilt barely concealed her impressive figure and delicate skin. Zhang Yi took several deep breaths before his emotions settled. He shook his head, murmuring, "The words the Sky Dragon King spoke before dying affected me too deeply. I dreamt of that man from Star Island's Mist Valley. He's coming to kill me." Zhou Qi fell silent for a long moment, then could only wrap her soft body tightly around Zhang Yi. "It'll be okay. Things will only get better for us." East Sea Region, Military Headquarters. A bolt of lightning split the sky. Azure Dragon suddenly sat bolt upright in bed. He gasped for breath, his bare upper body a mass of knotted muscles covered in scars. He placed a hand over his chest, confirming his heart still beat before letting out a sigh of relief. He rose from the bed and walked to the window. Gazing eastward through the window, he could see the coastal East Sea City and the sea beyond. Beyond the sea, to the east, lay the direction of Star Island. He stared at the ocean surface. The gently undulating water seemed to harbor hidden currents, causing him to frown deeply. That matter. Is it not over yet? In the days that followed, Zhang Yi and the others worked tirelessly to grow stronger. Additionally, they began cultivating local extraordinary individuals within Tianhai City. Xiao Honglian, Xing Tian, and Lu Dehai were among the first batch to receive training. Merely imparting a portion of the Earth Centipede's origin was sufficient to significantly enhance their strength in a short time. Subsequently, they embarked on a large-scale effort to elevate the power of extraordinary individuals across the three major bases, raising Tianhai City's overall capabilities to a higher level. Zhang Yi, who never enjoyed handling such matters, delegated them to Yang Xinqin. He trusted her completely to manage the specifics. It was the 4th month since his return from the southwest region. Tianhai City welcomed a familiar yet unfamiliar guest. Familiar because he and Zhang Yi had known each other for a long time. Unfamiliar because this was his first visit to Tianhai City. This visitor was Deng Shintong. Deng Shintong first initiated a video call with Zhang Yi, expressing his desire to come to Tianhai City to discuss an important matter. Upon receiving Zhang Yi's permission, he immediately set off without delay, driving all the way. The fact that he hadn't taken the Blizzard City special train struck Zhang Yi as odd. This indicated Deng Shintong wasn't representing Blizzard City, but came with personal motives. Zhang Yi maintained good relations with the Deng family. They had provided him considerable assistance in the past, while Zhang Yi had invested in Deng technology, granting him access to their cutting-edge research. A mutually beneficial arrangement. Thus, that morning, Deng Shintong's vehicle pulled up before Yunk Manor. Stepping into the villa, his first reaction was one of admiration. "Your lifestyle here is more luxurious than an emperor's. Even my uncle doesn't live as comfortably as you do." Zhang Yi smiled and gestured for him to sit on the sofa. "It all comes down to having sufficient strength and resources. But I must admit, I'm genuinely surprised you came to see me." Even a fool could see Deng Shintong hadn't come as a guest, he had serious matters to discuss. Deng Shintong sat beside Zhang Yi, and smiled. "I never come empty-handed. This time, I've indeed come to discuss something very important with you." Zhang Yi glanced at him. "Speak plainly. You know I've never been one for beating around the bush." Deng Shintong didn't rush to speak. Instead, he took out an iron box from his person and carefully opened it before Zhang Yi. Inside lay a yellowed piece of paper, clearly aged by time. Deng Shintong gently lifted it with his fingers and held it up to Zhang Yi's eyes. "Take a look at this first." Zhang Yi instantly sensed residual supernatural energy on the paper. "What is this?" He carefully took the paper and indeed felt a faint trace of supernatural energy within it. The paper seemed to have traversed centuries, written in traditional Huashu letters, though its history didn't appear exceptionally ancient. Zhang Yi could still recognize some of the characters on it. "What is it?" Zhang Yi stared intently at Deng Shintong as he asked. Deng Shintong replied earnestly, "The residual supernatural energy here comes from an ancient person who lived 600 years ago. So, even in ancient times, mutated beings already existed in this world." Zhang Yi fell silent for a moment before breaking into a smile. This isn't exactly news. Biological mutation is an ongoing process. Though the past didn't witness the Great Mutation era like today, the occasional emergence of one or two individuals with special abilities within vast biological populations was perfectly normal. Deng Shintong smiled faintly. But if you knew his name, I doubt you'd remain so calm.
Oh?
Then tell me, who is he? Zhang Yi arched an eyebrow, a hint of amusement in his eyes. Deng Shintong replied, that man's name is Wang Shouren. The world calls him Wang Yangming. Hearing this name, Zhang Yi's expression indeed grew more serious. Among the people of Huaxu Kingdom, virtually everyone with any education knew Wang Yangming. He was the founder of the School of Mind and was even regarded by a master a century ago as one of the 2.5 sages in Huaxu's history. Having achieved the 3 great accomplishments of establishing virtue, establishing merit, and establishing words during his lifetime, he was revered by countless people. Are you suggesting that Wang Yangming was that mutant from years past? Deng Shintong spoke calmly, the historical records are explicit. During his enlightenment at the Dragon Field, Wang Yangming suddenly realized in the dead of night that the heart is the root of all things. He further proposed, the way of the sage is inherent within our nature, seeking truth in external things is a mistake. His mind became utterly clear, and he felt profoundly liberated. He let out a long, resounding cry that echoed for dozens of miles, lasting a full half-hour. Such extraordinary phenomena were once widely suspected to be fabricated. But now it seems clear, he truly transcended his state of mind and became a mutant. Deng Shintong pointed to that page. This, he declared, is the ultimate proof. Zhang Yi could sense the paper's aura of age, this was no forgery. Wang Yangming. Zhang Yi's curiosity was aroused. So what if those historical figures were extraordinary beings? I don't find that particularly remarkable. What exactly are you trying to tell me? Deng Shintong pointed to that page. Can you understand the text written here? Zhang Yi could certainly understand it. Even if he couldn't, the intelligent system could translate it. Data flooded into his mind, meticulously analyzing it for him. This chapter comes from Wang Shouren's The Heart Sutra. It describes seeking within oneself to attain inner enlightenment, free from external constraints. Unlike the widely circulated versions of the Heart Sutra, this appears to be an entirely new edition. Zhang Yi felt he grasped something, yet it remained elusive. What does that mean? He looked at Deng Shintong, waiting for an explanation. Only then did Deng Shintong speak. Over the past 2.5 years, Deng's technology has conducted extensive research on mutant beasts, and mutated flowers, plants, and trees. We discover that the source of mutant abilities might originate from within. It arises within the organism itself, more precisely, the majority stems from within the human body. He folded his arms, his gaze deepening as he continued, we've now confirmed this to a large extent. Moreover, we've developed methods to concentrate power, enabling rapid growth in mutants. Zhang Yi stared at him. Extracting power from mutants or mutant beasts, then concentrating it into a single individual. Is that correct? This seemed akin to killing mutants to seize their origin. Deng Shintong smiled. Indeed it is. But our approach is far more efficient. That said, the conversion rate remains low. Cultivating a single top-tier mutant requires sacrificing dozens, even hundreds of others. It's not cost-effective. Zhang Yi crossed his legs. So how does this relate to Wang Yangming's Heart Sutra? Deng Shintong explained, we've persistently researched supernatural abilities, including investigating historical records of potential supernatural beings. The most recent and clearly documented supernatural being in history is Wang Yangming. Moreover, he's the only one who systematized supernatural abilities into a theoretical framework. The Heart Sutra refers to harnessing inner strength to achieve clarity of heart and enter a transcendent state. Deng Shintong spread his hands. Wang Yangming believed this state was attainable by all. Yet reality proves otherwise. Thus, though his Heart Sutra is renowned, few today truly can attain his level. Zhang Yi asked, so you're saying the Heart Sutra is an ancient sage's insight into supernatural abilities from 600 years ago? A theoretical guide for cultivation? To date, humanity has not discovered any method to enhance supernatural power beyond devouring others. Yet each person possesses immense latent potential. If one could unlock it, like mining a vein, it would reveal a vast treasure trove. This too could dramatically elevate a mutant's power. Deng Shintong nodded. Exactly. That's precisely my view. A flicker of fascination passed through Zhang Yi's eyes. But this book? It's not in your possession now. He saw right through Deng Shintong's thoughts. Moreover, it's in a very troublesome place, and you lack the ability to retrieve it yourself. That's why you came to me for help, am I right? Deng Shintong clapped his hands with a smile. Truly the renowned chaos. Impressive, you guessed exactly what I was going to say. Zhang Yi chuckled softly, thinking, just as I expected. What makes you think I'll help you? First, while your story is indeed compelling, there's no evidence to suggest Wang Yangming's Heart Sutra is worth my intervention. Second, for me to get involved, it'd have to be at least an S-level mission. Yet you're asking me to take a risk. You've known me for a while now. Deng Shintong's eyes lit up. Zhang Yi's words seemed like a refusal, but they were also an opening. He was carefully weighing the pros and cons. I have complete confidence in the power of the Heart Sutra. Zhang Yi, look at this. He extended his arm toward Zhang Yi. Then, a powerful psychic energy coalesced in his palm, forming a luminous sphere as bright as a pearl. Seeing this, Zhang Yi remarked with some surprise, your strength has grown again. Their last meeting had been nearly a year ago in the Qinling Mountains, when Deng Shintong's ability index stood at only 9,500 points. But now, it had surged to around 9,900 points. Such a dramatic leap in just 1 year was nothing short of remarkable. Yet Zhang Yi still gave Deng Shintong a deeply scrutinizing look. And you attribute this to that single page of the Heart Sutra fragment? Do you really expect me to believe such nonsense? Deng Shintong reined in his power and shook his head. Not that. But a woman. She merely touched the original text of the Heart Sutra once and gained an extraordinary power. That advancement far surpasses mine, it's nothing short of a miracle. Zhang Yi, those worthy of being called sages cannot be measured by ordinary standards.